All right, I think I'm back across the board. So let's come here. Check this new newsletter campaign. Cool. Let's go. Whoops. All right, that's the correct one. Let's refresh. All right, unsubscribe. Funny header. Oh, I should have an image here. Let me see. Is it? All right, let's say to pass. No, want to image can be added. That can be added to the bulk. The bulk emails. All right, let's do that. All right, so I added a special type for my newsletter campaign template of a header image URL. Salt header, da da da. If there is an image, then you're gonna pass this block down. Header block image. All right, here is my campaign server, const center image. Trim. right, form data.get header image URL. All right, cool. So let's come here, refresh. All right, so I'm gonna actually make this into an upload. All right, let's figure out how I want to do this. All right, so this needs to be cleaned up. So what I would like to happen is if I select this newsletter default template, I would like for this to pop up as a yeah, I would like this pop up as a kind of input select. And I would like a field for the title. And all right, so here's what I'm gonna do. If default is selected from the newsletter if a selected from the newsletter template select that isn't custom body, I want fields to animate for email header image and body text button this link that will get passed to the template as variables. All right, so basically, like I said, if somebody would come here and go to this newsletter template and select a value of a template other than this custom body, which only applies to HTML and text body, I would like fields to appear for the header image, the email title, the email body, basically custom fields that will only be applied to the template. So I think that's what it's gonna do. Just come here. Let's clean that up. Misunderstood again. All right. Stop you. I think that's what it is. Latest ad zipper. That. Oh, it says already in there. Components. Sure, why not? All right, so if I all right, that's better. Email header. All right, I'm close. I say body text, header text. Let's see. Body. All right. It did. UI template mode, slide in fields, updated. Template fields, animate in. Use a selected template alias consistently from the hidden input. All right, so here it is. Template header, template body text. All right, and it passes them to the HTML template generator. There's the body. Template HTML. Okay, cool. Just coming from this right here. It's gonna pass these down and fill in the gaps here. All right, that works. Inner text. Body HTML. All right, I like how that works. Let's keep that. So now I'm gonna go to create a newsletter campaign from the back. I have the choice to actually set a text body or an HTML body from scratch as previously, but now if I want to use a template, I can actually come here and select this as a template, and it gives me these options to set an email header, choose my image, set the body of it, define my button text and link, which will get filled in the gap in the template. Okay. Let's clean up this form even more. Let's come here. That's your dream tag, metadata, audience links. All right, that looks good. Before that, let's add a separator. div. Fancy. So come here. Let's go ahead and remove this one then. I don't think I'm here. All right. Hmm. All right. All right, let's clean this up. Medium. All right, so this is weird. All right, I did a number. Refactor this whole form, I think. All right, so see what it did. All right, it's set at the form level, which is stupid. Let's go. Remove you. All right, let's do this. Let's go flex. Next column. Gap 4. All right, but then space you out. Cool. Okay, but now let's place you two in a grid. Go grid. Let's do that. And then let's give you a all right, that looks already better. Let's go. Let's see what it's looking. Let's go large. All right, maybe I'll just go medium. All right, it's better. HTML body is good. Text should be the same. All right. So weird. All right. Being a little slow. Let me cancel that worker. Oh no, it's being hella slow. So I'm gonna stop this. Stop the restart. All right, this should improve. All right. It's weird. Getting slow for whatever reason. All right, what was I? Text body. All right, let's try this again. Looks better. Where's that? Oh. Use lower template. Where's that coming from? Oh, it's the hidden. This. For this. Again. Cool. Let's figure out where this gap is coming from. this. Alright, that looks fine. I'll check this on a phone. Nice to this. Let's go to flex. Items. Right, and then let's go. Just go to class name. Alright, cool. Alright, so that's all lined up properly. Let's remove this, resume polling, and clean that up. Let's go. So, polling right here. Remove that and let's put it with the header. Details, campaign. Let's wrap you in a div. Got maybe two other ones. Class name. Flex. Items. And let's go. All right, cool. So that's better. All right, now let's say I have a super long text for whatever reason. Let's go to let's just say I have a super long subject. Never do that, but just in case. Let's clean this up. Let's go shrink 0. Flex 1. 8. Go minimum width 0. Max. All right, cool. I fixed it. All right, so now it truncates appropriately. Let's check on this tablet. All right, cool. Let's bring you back. All right, so that all looks good now. So form looks good. Let's do this. Let's come here. I want to turn this into an actual upload functionality, and then I need to turn this into a custom editor. Text link. All right, so let's do that. Let's come here. Editor image. I think I have an image. Oh, yeah, I do. Profile. Come here. That's not it. All right, so avatar and cover image. Here it is. Using image upload. All right, so if I come here, go to my settings and profile. All right, so I'm going to reuse this kind of setup here as my email header image. All right, so let's do that. Let's come here. Choose image upload value on change. All right, so right, so I'm gonna tell it to wire that up for me. So basically it's going to my dashboard. Take this from a copy and paste URL functionality to an actual image upload, since it's already set up all throughout my application. It'll use the same thing. It'll upload an image and then it will take that image's URL and then basically pass that to the template to use in emails. I might need to create another bucket on my Cloudflare because I use Cloudflare R2 for that. Check. So let's check. All right. Does this create a All right, so there's a placeholder. I don't know why there's a placeholder. Come here. No image. That. Upload header image. All right, cool. So come here, check. That's what it is. All right, so I need to add another key. That server is. All right, so right now we're using my previous setup with Cloudflare R2, which I set up buckets and all that for, and basically gets put into separate folders. I'm going to create a separate endpoint for this. So yes, great. Sorry, so I'm gonna create a separate one just for this form. So if I ever need to go into my storage and kind of find those images, I will know where to look. No longer gets placed in my kind of profiles folder, which doesn't make sense. So I'm just find a newsletter folder in my bucket, and then this will get it placed. Next size 10. Should probably make it even smaller, but we'll leave it right now. Upload. Updated it to be newsletter image as my endpoint instead of profile image. Cool. And then created the actual endpoint right here. Newsletter. Cool. Because this is a newsletter, can I just change my X? broke anything. I think so. All right, cool. So now when I come here and I come here to my newsletter, create a image. Let's see, for example, all right, so I get the actual header image, and then I get this right here. The actual URL is going to be sent with the email so that it can actually access it and use it in the email. All right, cool. So let's just tweak that a little bit. Why don't we? Where am I? Rounded medium. So, all right, that looks better. So I come and remove, cool. Removes it. All right, last thing I want to do for this, as I wait for a response from Postmark, is actually for that, let me just commit these changes because I made a lot. Let's commit those. All right. So I'm telling my agent, oh, let me come here and let's check this, make sure this still works. Let's try this again. So let's go with full orange. All right, let's go to that. All right, so last thing I need to do, want to turn this body text into a custom kind of editor, which will allow me to pass along the HTML. So if I wanted to create lists, bold, italics, all that, I should be able to just do that like you would do with a normal editor. Instead of wiring this all up by myself, like I'm just gonna have my agent do this, because that is one nice thing about that is it can do these things. So it's probably gonna create a separate custom component and kind of input and import that in place of this text area, and then give me some basic controls. I think I'm gonna be able to bold, italic, maybe font size. Maybe font size, I don't know yet. We'll just make it recent, but first, bold, italic, list. And let's see. All right, so I can refactor with a custom text editor. I need the ability to bold, to make fonts or italic, and list. No, and turn text into text. Should be enough. And then make sure my HTML can handle it. Let's see. All right, because here's my global styles. All right, so H2, H3. All right, cool. Should be fine. Nice thing about this is I'm just going to create this as a component, and then I have a notes feature on my application, which I do eventually plan on adding as a rich kind of text editor here. So then I can continue to build out that functionality from that same component, and I won't need to create a separate one. So this will give me the bare bones to scaffold this into a more full-featured component for my actual notes posting. So no, I need to do that eventually. So now I can actually just start building the baseline for it now. All right, come here. Then once I do that, that's pretty much it for this whole kind of newsletter campaign thing that I'm setting up. I'm just waiting to hear back from Postmark. I requested API access to bulk emails, because without that, I can't actually connect to their endpoint to send a bulk email as I'm planning on doing. Hopefully they get back to me pretty quickly and I can kind of get to it. Hey, good news. I actually just checked my email and they did get back to me. So Postmark got back to me pretty quickly. They said they did activate it, so it was literally just flipping a switch for me. And I thought there was limits on how many recipients, but there is not actually a limit. It's just as much as you can send up to a 50 megabyte limit. Okay. So even that's like 10,000 recipients, it can handle it as long as it's under 50 megabytes. So I'm actually refactor some of my code to take that into account because I have a hard limit of recipients, I think, to like 500, but I think I can probably squeeze way more than that in there. Shout out to Postmark. They are my favorite service in terms of sending emails from apps for sure. All right, for that fails to go some to consider bold italics headings, borderless normalized. What changed? All right, so created the editor. All right, so this is appreciated. Let me see. Deprecated. Let me see. Documents. Marked it deprecated. Writing for members. Da, da, da. Sometimes they offer fixes to deprecated commands, but they did not. So let's see if I can't find that. Let's see if I can Google it. Document. Good old Stack Overflow. It's been a while since I've been on air, but let's see. What's the alternative? Go into invitation. Some modern. Not even using content editable, huh? The code text area. So basically, what I'm seeing right now is they're literally saying to don't even use content editable and instead kind of just wire this up with Vanilla.js. Another shitty answer and response from Stack Overflow. That's one thing I did not enjoy about it. So even though it's been deprecated, it seems like every browser pretty much still supports it. Current plan is that applications that need rich text editors should listen for before input events. Collect the to be done modification information rather and prevent browser default behavior and instead execute custom content modification in JS code. And then use HTML CSS to render the results. All right, so basically it doesn't seem like there's an alternative to using execute command and content editable. All I'm seeing is basically to wire up my own JS solution. So basically what I would do is listen to these events like you would normally do, add those changes like whatever with JS, basically wrapping those texts and then converting those with HTML CSS to the output that you expect. All right, we'll see. We'll see. I might tell it to wire up this vanilla and listen to what's being inputted and then kind of wrap those based on the buttons being clicked, but we'll see. All right, so that was the reusable text editor. So here's the editor, import it, compatible, and posting the editor HTML through a hidden input. All right, so then it's passing the actual HTML to a hidden input, which will be passed down to my template body text. And then you're going to sanitize that submitted rich HTML. So then you only get those safe formatting tags, which is a good call. And then update that template to treat template body text as HTML content. Okay, so here's my DOM Purify. Import that rich text editor. Here you're going to sanitize that HTML text that's being passed. And these are the only tags that are allowing to be passed to my server. So you don't get, malicious injection. Again, this is good starting point setup for my future kind of rich editor that I'm going to implement, which we have even more features, but allow tags, paragraph breaks, strong, bold,